Look at me, bro. Look at me.
He faces 1 count each of murder and attempted murder,
Remember,
both
a
with
GCU student shot and killed while watching a movie in a California theater.
Welcome to a disturbing case with the most insane twists you've ever heard. In the middle of 2021, a young woman was taken on a first date by a TikTok star. This young woman was pleased to go on a date because she really liked the guy. She was also happy when her father accepted, because first he had refused. The young woman and the guy left for the date, but to everyone's surprise, this was the last time they would ever see them. What happened to this young woman is very sad, but the story behind it is even weirder. Riley Goodrich was born and raised in Corona, California. While in school, she was part of the volleyball team and also a cheerleader. She was also a very social person, having many friends. Her friends described her as one of the most positive, open, and fun-loving people you will ever meet, with a huge heart of gold. After graduating high school, she got a scholarship at the Grand Canyon University in Arizona, where she moved to their dormitories. Whenever she had some free time, she would try and visit her parents. In the summer of 2021, she was done with her first year and returned to Corona for the holidays. During Independence Day, her friends threw a huge party. And it was during this party, Riley met a young man named Anthony Barajas. He was only a year older than her, and after days of getting to know each other, they quickly developed a liking for each other. They continued talking days later, getting to know each other better. Anthony was already a popular figure on TikTok by the time the two met. He rose to popularity in 2019 when he created an account where he posted various humorous videos. At some point, his videos began to attract a lot of attention. By the summer of 2021, he had already managed to get 1 million subscribers. The guy also ended up developing his Instagram account. Still, he was torn between continuing his blog as his primary activity or doing something else. After a while of chatting and getting to know each other on social media, the two decided to go out on their first date. However, it was important for Riley that the guy first meet her parents so that her father, Dave, would approve of her choice. Even though she was already 18 years old, she was very close with her parents, and she wanted them to meet Anthony first. When Dave first met the young man, he was skeptical because Anthony made a living through TikTok. However, when Anthony made a good first impression on Riley's parents, Dave approved of his daughter's choice. The guy seemed well-mannered and overall a positive person. And in the end, Riley and Anthony decided that on July 26, they would go to an evening movie session, choosing The Forever Purge as the movie to watch that night. Riley texted her mother during the movie, telling her that the film seemed boring. Still, she enjoyed spending the day with Anthony. This was probably the last time Riley would contact her mother. When the movie ended, a theater employee went into the hall to clean up, and there he found Riley and Anthony. From a distance, it seemed as if the two were just sitting there or sleeping in their seats. However, the closer he got, the more he realized that they were not just sleeping and that there was more to it. The visitors seemed significantly wounded at this time, so the cleaner called 911. When the police and the ambulance arrived, the medics immediately declared Riley dead. Anthony was still alive, but he was in an unconscious state. He was rushed to the hospital where he was connected immediately to life support equipment. When the detectives started investigating the crime scene, they couldn't understand what had happened. They could only tell that Riley and Anthony had both been shot in the head. However, no other clues at the crime scene could shed some light on what had happened there. Searching for DNA and taking fingerprints in the theater would be useless, given that there were so many other people there. It wasn't long until the story hit the California media and then the entire country. During the start of the investigation, there was a theory that Anthony could have been the killer, shooting Riley before taking his own life. However, this theory didn't hold for long because the weapon would have been lying nearby if this was the case. The moment the victims were identified, the families received bad news from the detectives, informing them of what had happened. It took a lot of convincing for Riley's parents to believe that they would never see their daughter again. In addition to the bad news, the police couldn't give the families any more information about what happened because they had no idea what had happened. Anthony had suffered a serious injury, and the medical staff did everything they could to help him. The detectives started by questioning the employees working that evening, and as it turned out, only 6 tickets were sold for the show. This meant that the killer was most likely one of the 4 visitors. However, there was something that puzzled even the detectives. If the killer was one of the 6 viewers, how is it that the other 2 visitors didn't hear the gunshots? The detectives assumed that the other 2 believed that the sound of gunshots was part of the movie they were watching, given that the movie had a lot of violent scenes. This led to the birth of another theory. The killer struck during one of those violent scenes. However, it wasn't long until the detectives solved the case. The breakthrough came when they learned that 4 of the tickets sold were bought by one person for himself and 3 of his friends. This led to the theory that a group of people had committed the crime. Investigations went on all night, and the next day the police had some answers. They announced that the suspect was a 20-year-old Joseph Jimenez, and as if by chance, Joseph himself called the police the following day. However, he wasn't calling to confess to the crime. It was at around 9:30 p.m. when Joseph called 911 and reported that someone was chasing him. But when the police arrived, he held a gun in the street. When they arrested him, they immediately realized that the weapon used in the theater killing was the same caliber as the one in Joseph's hand. So, the police took the weapon to the experts, who already had 3 empty shells from the theater. After a few tests, they learned that Joseph's weapon was the same one used to commit the murder in the theater. When they asked Jimenez about it, he denied any involvement. However, detectives were quick to find even more incriminating evidence. When they searched Jimenez's house, they found Riley Goodrich's wallet. Shortly after, they saw the other 3 people at the movie theater with Joseph. It turns out that they were all friends with him. However, the story behind it all truly shocked the detectives. According to them, they never had any idea that a simple trip to the movies would turn into such a tragedy. They were all just sitting and watching the film. During the movie, however, they realized that Joseph was acting a bit strange. He suddenly started behaving suspiciously, talking to himself and muttering words. It got to the point where he told his friends he was going to the bathroom. However, he went to his car, got a gun, and returned to the theater. After returning, he told his friends he had come in with a gun from his car. Immediately upon hearing this, his friends started panicking. In the end, his friends lied to him, telling him they also needed to go to the bathroom and would return afterwards. But once they left the theater, they never came back. After further investigation, Jimenez was arrested and charged with murder, attempted murder, and robbery. Later on, Anthony passed away on July 31st. With his passing away, Jimenez had another charge of murder added to his case. All this was enough to get him the death sentence. When Jimenez decided to come clean, he told detectives that he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and that before committing the crimes, he had stopped taking the medication. He claimed that the voices told him that someone was going to steal his car. Later, He claimed that voices threatened to kill his entire family on the night of the crime. He then claimed that the voices told him to kill Riley and Anthony, or else they would kill his entire family. Jimenez claimed that he tried fighting off the voices, but eventually he gave in. When he was arraigned in court, he managed to enter a guilty plea while his case was still pending. What do you think about the murders of Riley Goodrich and Anthony Barajas? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more thrilling stories like this one. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.